we are a portion of the pro-life caucus that speaks for many of us on this pro-life issue. And this is in response to the undercover video regarding the harvesting and sale of fetal body parts that was released yesterday. I think many of you saw that. I hope that everyone in America watches it. I'll warn you, I will tell you, it is probably the most horrifying and heartbreaking undercover video that I have ever seen. And I have spent a good deal of time advocating in the arenas of sex trafficking and sexual assault and abuse. I think the video speaks very much for itself. But to watch the Senior Director of Medical Services for Planned Parenthood coldly and callously talk about starting her day huddling with staff, looking at the number of abortions that they're going to do that day and deciding how to order them, how to prioritize them in terms of how they're going to harvest a lung from one, liver from another, heart from another, how one must be careful not to crush certain parts of that unborn child because it might not be able to be harvested and used is, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely monstrous. So I've joined with all of my colleagues here, and most particularly Congressman Sean Duffy of Wisconsin and our stalwart Chris Smith of New Jersey, Martha Roby, who brought this forward yesterday in a very passionate plea on the floor to call for an immediate investigation, and we did so yesterday. And we have a letter that is now going out thanking and being signed by a very large number of our conference, thanking our leadership in the authorizing committees of Judiciary and Energy and Commerce, both Chairman Goodlatte and Upton. And we're asking for an investigation specifically on the harvesting and trafficking of fetal body parts. We want to look and examine current federal law and laws and regulations. We want to look at potential violations of current laws and identify areas where laws may be insufficient. We also want to look at the activities of Planned Parenthood and companies that are brokering the buying and the selling of organs and body parts of unborn children. With that, I will hand it over to Sean. Sean, thank you.
Thank you, Ann, and it's a privilege to be here with my colleagues, so many who have stood up for life. I'm a dad of 7 kids, been there for all the births of our children, and I think any person who has had a child knows that time right after your baby is born, when those little baby lungs fill up with air and you hear their cry for the first time. It's absolutely priceless. Now we know that Planned Parenthood has a price on those very same little lungs. They have a price on those little livers, those little baby feet, on those heads. This revelation in this video is absolutely shockingly inhumane. Frankly, is disgusting. That you have Planned Parenthood who is harvesting organs for profit. Harvesting human organs for profit. We had a bill earlier this year, and it was a bill that said, listen, if we have babies after 20 weeks, we should limit the abortions of those babies, because these are babies that feel pain. These are babies that can survive outside the womb. And one of the most aggressive detractors of our bill, the group that lobbied the hardest against our bill, was Planned Parenthood. And it was Planned Parenthood who said, listen, this is about health, this is about life, this is about rights. The bottom line is today, we see it's not about health, it's about money. This is about profit. We know that they make money the longer the baby stays in the womb. They don't want just 18, 19 weeks. But you get to 24 weeks, you have little baby lungs that are more developed and little feet that are more developed. This is unacceptable in 2015 in American society. We need to stand together. It's not a Democrat or Republican or independent issue. This is an American issue, to stand up for defenseless little babies that don't have any other lobby. Those little lungs, though they're worth money, they can't be used with those little voices quite yet. And it's all of us who are going to stand up for those little babies and be their voice to make sure that they're not used for profit in the harvesting of their lungs. I'm happy that our committees are going to investigate, but it's also the FBI, it's DHS, it's DOJ. We need every agency to investigate this horror, and I know that we have a group here in the House that are committed to making sure that the truth reigns and we protect these little voiceless, defenseless babies.
My name is Chris Smith. I'm chairman of the Pro-Life Caucus. I've been in Congress now for 35 years. I represent the 4th District of New Jersey. 15 years ago, I authored the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, the landmark law that combats the exploitation of human beings, mostly women and children, a cruelty that reduces victims to commodities for sale. Yesterday, we learned of another cruel manifestation of human trafficking. Yesterday, we learned that Planned Parenthood is trafficking in baby body parts and intact organs like livers and hearts, charging up to $100 or more per body part. Not only has Planned Parenthood killed over 7 million innocent babies in their chain of abortion clinics, but now an undercover video by the Center for Medical Progress, part of a 3-year investigative journalism study, shows high-ranking Planned Parenthood officials explaining how they sell and profit from the sale of the organs of their victims. In one clip, Dr. Deborah Nucatola, Senior Director of Planned Parenthood's Federation of America's Medical Services, and a late-term abortionist herself, explains, and I quote her in part, "We've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver, because we know that, so I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see if I can get it all intact." Dr. Nucatola says on camera, "I'd say a lot of people want liver, and for that reason, most providers will do this case under ultrasound guidance so they'll know where they're putting their forceps." In other words, crush the baby to death, but do it in a way that preserves certain organs and body parts for sale. Dr. Nucatola even suggests on tape creating a, quote, menu. Current law that prescribes altering abortion procedures in order to procure baby organs and body parts, as well as the law that says it is, quote, unlawful for any person to knowingly acquire, receive, or otherwise transfer any human fetal tissue for valuable consideration, need to be enforced and, if need be, strengthened. The ban on partial birth abortion and the Born Alive Protection Act may have relevance here as well, as does the House-passed Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. Congress must and it will investigate, and I believe we will put an end to these horrific practices.
My name is Martha Roby from Alabama 2nd District. I want to thank all of my colleagues for, number one, raising awareness to this development, and number two, making sure that these barbaric practices of the abortion industry get the intense scrutiny that they deserve. Yesterday I spoke from the House floor about this, and I got emotional, and I'll tell you why. Even though I had seen the video and listened to the words, it did not fully prepare me for actually saying them out loud and hearing them come from my mouth. To talk about crushing here and not crushing there, and in a reference to an unborn baby is just so unnatural. It's hard to believe a human being could bring themselves to believe this is okay. That is to say nothing of the callous and casual way in which she said it. As you know, we have long fought to prohibit federal funding to Planned Parenthood, and I've been proud to work alongside Diane Black on legislation specifically prohibiting federal funding from going toward Planned Parenthood. That will continue, and it is my hope that this exposure will further illustrate to all our colleagues why this is so important. But this horrific revelation also warrants closer inspection of this organization. I appreciate as my colleagues had already said, the House leadership, the committees of jurisdiction, for quickly laying the groundwork for investigations and hearings. Congress is right to use its oversight capacity to get to the bottom of this and hold this organization accountable. But I too think that this warrants a criminal investigation, a serious one. I don't care how much political weight Planned Parenthood throws around this town. No one is above the law. If we're going to be perp-walking soccer officials, how about let's bear down on harvesting and trafficking of babies' body parts? This is one of the moments as a nation that we have to ask ourselves, who are we? Are we really going to tolerate this kind of inhumanity? Are we going to look the other way while babies are being brutally killed and organs harvested?
And I'd also like to point out, we have a member of the Democrat Party here, Daniel Lipinski. Thank you, Congressman Lipinski, for joining us here.
Good afternoon, I'm Tim Murphy, the 18th District of Pennsylvania. I serve in Energy and Commerce. I'm also the chairman of Oversight and Investigation. And the Oversight and Investigation Committee will do a hearing on this. There will be questions raised, what was legal, what was not legal. But above all, we believe America has the right to know what is occurring and to understand that that which is legal is not necessarily moral and ethical. When we watch this video, what I said a couple weeks ago, you cannot have a heart and not be moved by the callousness and the indifference of the doctor describing this with no more emotion than pulling to a fast food joint and ordering a bag of fries. As callous as that sounds, we should all be upset by this. I don't know if women who go in for abortion really know what happens to their babies, and I'd like to know what they're told. This raises troubling questions about how the law was followed, and did someone try and walk a fine line or cross that line? And as an investigation committee, we will take all necessary steps to find out what happened here, who was involved, and we will keep this investigation open until we get answers. As I said, there are laws around, but we also have to ask ourselves, and this is a moment of choice for our country, is this what we do as a country? When confronted with the facts of this, we have to ask ourselves, is this what we want as a nation, as a practice? When parents see a video like this, even if they are thinking that they have a son or daughter with some disease and they want to find a cure for that disease, is this the way they want to see that happen? That someone gets a menu, someone puts out an order for certain body parts, and at the abortion clinic the doctors are told you need so many limbs, so many arms, so many legs, so many livers, so many hearts. In an organization that even refuses not only to call this a baby or a fetus, but calls it a case. Won't call it a head or a brain, but has another term for it. But those words do not remove the seriousness of the moral questions we are facing here. This is not what we do in healthcare practice. This is not what we do as families. This is not what we do as a nation. And in our hearings, I intend to find out who's involved and get all the facts before Congress so we can decide where we go next. Thank you.